So I'm going to do this a One Piece discussion. Initially, I was going to add the recent two Bleach chapters into this as well, but as of right now, not too much with the character regression of Ichigo. So I'm just going to focus on the last couple of chapters of One Piece from 829 and 830. Now, one thing I want to add to that is I will be doing the review for Hunter X 359 tomorrow. Can't do it straight away. Can't do it first thing tomorrow because I've got to go book some tickets to go to Comic Con in July, on July 8th and July 9th. So it'll have to be tomorrow night. But I will do a review for Hunter X. Now, that being said, let me just dive straight into the discussion. Initially, I was gonna make a discussion about Big Mom, the Vinsmokes, and what to happen next. But I think there's the latest developments within these two, not only chapter 829 but 830 as well, is going to tell us where Whole Cake Island goes next. And not only that, the pacing of these two chapters in particular, as well as Whole Cake Island the Whole Cake Island arc as a whole, ever since Pudding gave the directions to Nami to go straight to Whole Cake Island, it's like Oda's been doing everything he can to push any side bits to the side, so to speak. They're not visiting any other islands but Whole Cake Island. The pace has been quick, and even in this chapter, and I'll get to that in a minute. So that's my number thoughts about Whole Cake Island, and I honestly think the setup is there because what happens next is we're either going to do two things. Number one, we're going to find out what happened to Jinbei, hopefully, or we're going to find out what's going on with the Vinsmokes and Sanji in particular, because that's where the meat of the year is, with the year of Sanji, and we are due for a flashback at some point. So I think we'll have to get the flashback before the wedding for events to make sense. That's my initial thoughts, because why else would Oda fast forward the Whole Cake Island arc like this? Unless they're going to do something major, like go, I don't know, straight to Wano after that, which would be crazy, but what would be the point in separating the crew in the first place? So that's the pacing of this arc and my overall thoughts on that. Now, I'll just start off with the most popular, most ridiculous of theories, because the Big Mom situation and her abilities obviously a little more ironclad, but not too much confirmation, because the way it seems like it's the nature ability of Big Mom, it looks like it's concrete now, because of not only what happened in last week's chapter where she swiped the lifespan of it, was it Moscow, the 26th, I think the 46th son of the Charlotte family. Yeah, well, he's dead. That was confirmed in this chapter as well. And Big Mom's lack of caring for her siblings is obviously should have been obvious from the get-go. And this is another reason why I don't think Luffy and Big Mom will see eye to eye, because Big Mom doesn't give a shit about anything but sweets and greed and power. That is obvious. And something else that contradicts what Pudding said about, the reason why she didn't want to leave Big Mom's side is because she's too terrified. Well, we see what happens when people want to leave Big Mom. So, because we saw this with Jinbei, he wants to leave leave Big Mom and join the Straw Hats. We know the reason why. We got the reason why he joined as a Shichibukai, so he can protect the Fishman Island district and the Sun Pirates, and more importantly, after the Whitebeard War, after Marineford, he pretty much joined up on the Big Mom, so she doesn't lay a hand on the Fishman Island. But now he's pretty much setting off to join the Straw Hats. However, that is if he doesn't die before the end of this arc. Now, I'm not going to get too much into who could be Nakama material, because obviously Jinbei's top tier right now. However, that doesn't necessarily mean he will join the crew, because certain things can happen, certain things can change in an instant. Now, we'll get into Big Mom's abilities, but I think it's starting to be a little more obvious that it's whatever lifespan she takes out of whoever she sees, or I think she obviously plants them into the objects around her. That's basically the whole Alice in Wonderland theme. However, the one thing that really stands out to me is if, and I mentioned this before in one of the previous ability theories that I made or discussions. And number one, if I didn't say really Big Mom was the one who was producing the sweets and the cakes, but Castle is made out of cakes, so obviously that's devil fruit related, as was the caramel sea that the Straw Hats got stuck in, or the Sunny got stuck in because it froze overnight, and then they had to melt their way out of that. And by the way, that whole scene was quick, and the whole explanation about Pedro and the Poneglyph, I'm not getting too much into that because you already know how I feel about that. And this is basically on what happens next. Because, well, I mean, Pedro going off. Listen, can you say to the Strats, can you buy me some time so I can go search for the Poneglyph? I do have my suspicions, but I don't think it's as important as what's going on right now with the Vinsmokes and Big Mom, Sanji, and the whole wedding deal. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'll bring up this another discussion maybe after the next chapter, but right now, not too much evidence on if Big Mom has any other abilities, but I gotta believe there's someone in the Charlotte family that does have the ability to produce food. Um, Obviously, it's devil fruit related throughout the entire district of Big Mom's territories. Now, that being said, uh, what to expect next? Because Big Mom, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people are saying that Big Mom can, I mean, somewhere down the line can make an alliance with Luffy, but I don't think that's possible given the fact unless Jinbei looks out and he doesn't lose anything, which is I don't think is happening. I think it's good because we saw the roulette wheel, we saw the pictures of the symbols of what he could lose: a leg, an arm, a head, which pretty much is dead anyway. So I'm not too sure why. And then you see the Big Mom symbol as well. And then the other thing you saw, well, the three things you saw was the 10 points, you had the 100 points, and you had the 1,000, which I'm assuming is referring to the lifespan which she could take from anybody, because she took 40 years off her son's life in a previous chapter. So I think I'm pretty much 100-year lifespan or 1,000-year lifespan, which pretty much turned Jinbei into fish bones. No pun intended, but yeah. Um, so he could lose 10 years off his lifespan. That wouldn't be such a big deal, given the fact Luffy sacrificed years off his life so even Koff could heal him when it came down to fighting off Magellan's poison. So I don't think that would be a big deal for Jinbei. I think that'd be more likely, given the fact that Jinbei is going to be a huge ally. And that whole, by the way, that whole thing about Jinbei saying, "Oh, uh, that some pirates could become allies of Luffy as well," that could happen. That just sets up for the final fight in the series, perhaps after Rattle, whether it goes down. So obviously we know Luffy gains more allies and gains. So that's probably what will happen down the road. So I don't know if Jinbei will be killed off. I hope not. But with Big Mom, she's too unpredictable, and I don't see Luffy and Big Mom seeing eye to eye. And that also means for that to happen, Luffy's gonna have to work on the Big Mom, and that's not happening under any circumstance, in my opinion. But and number two is Luffy does not want to lose Sanji either. So if let's say for instance, if Jinbei loses a limb or loses his lifespan, and that's another thing about this, I got to assume is Jinbei doesn't realize that Straw Hats are on Whole Cake Island either, because he came in with a poneglyph. Now, if that were the case, why did he give it to Big Mom? And I was thinking maybe that would be the rogue poneglyph, but the way Pedro was talking about how the poneglyph, when we got the well, first off, when we got the explanation back on Zoe about both Kaido and Big Mom both having the raw poneglyphs, we were under the impression they're already there under the watch of Kaido and Big Mom. So let's say, for instance, that isn't the raw poneglyph that Jinbei is bringing. If that's the case, and Pedro's going off to look for a raw poneglyph, number one, he can't read it. I'm pretty sure he can't. Nor can Nekomamushi, which is the reason why he says, although I've got a sinking suspicion that that's not really the case, but he says that he can go and steal the poneglyph, which I'd like to see that happen because it's not going to be like, oh, you can walk out the island with one poneglyph and nobody's going to know. But it still has. Nami did bring up something important as well about that, and I'll leave it at this. She just said, "Oh, it looks way too easy," and I gotta agree. There's got to be a plot twist in the road, but we'll just have to wait and see what Oda has. I mean, if Pedro doesn't betray the crew, do want to help for a job of fooling us because everything that Pedro has done in this arc has been suspicious, in my opinion. But and that's where the whole. But so it's in a way. So is Puddins. I mean, the way she was describing Sanji, and I'll get to the whole daughter thing in a minute because that is crazy. Um, but I'll leave one final thought with Big Mom. If it comes down to a one, if Luffy and that's another thing as well, even if they did align themselves to, let's say, face off and defeat Kaido, which I don't see happening anyway, given the fact we already have a team going to Wano to face the Kaido situation anyway. So what would be the point? And number two, even if Big Mom does have the ability to steal lifespan, here's the thing: if Kaido really is immortal, that won't work. And I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that Kaido won't have any problems with Luffy at this point. So I don't see that happening. And number two, as I said again, Big Mom's personality and the cravings are way too much for a loose cannon, in my opinion. And how the hell do you expect those two to get along? I don't see it. It means Luffy going through the wedding, let Sanji get hitched to Puddin, which we know is not going to happen because whether Sanji refuses or whether Luffy just interrupts or whether somebody else comes in. I've said this before about I think Nami could be the one to break it up because why would we get a new climate attack for Nami if there's not going to be a fight between maybe at some point, but I have also said something about the Vinsmokes in the way that they could be the wild card in this arc, perhaps. And I already mentioned it in the review, and I know Sawyer mentioned this in his review in the previous chapter about how the look in Big Mom's eyes when she went on a rampage looked like the swirl eyebrows of the Vinsmokes. She could be hypnotized or something, possibly, given the fact that we know Ichichi and Niji were on Broccoli Island for 2 whole years. You'd think Big Mom would know about that shit. So, and yeah, I think when it comes right down to it, and we still yet to get the reveal of Papa Vinsmoke himself, Sanji's old man, so we'll get the reveal down the road, I assume, sooner rather than later. But for now, now let's talk about the most important thing about this. The Charlotte family members, the daughters and the sons. Now, a week ago, it's 2 weeks ago, I was in the assumption that Big Mom was probably one of the biggest hookers I've ever known in shonen because over 86 or 85, I guess technically now, because the son's pretty much dead. Moscow is pretty much dead, so 85 members or siblings of Big Mom, sons and daughters. That seems abnormal for any person. So, but then we get to find out in this chapter, Aladdin, who was the second in command of the Sun Pirates, got hitched to another mermaid who happens to be a Charlotte family member on the Big Mom. What the? Okay, number one, part fishman, part fish mermaid. I'm pretty sure that means you would have to, at least where I come from, you have to do it with a merman, and I don't see that happening. But now here's the thing with my mom's delve through ability, and the fact that each of the and it's the thing. If put into the chick with the 3 eyes, that is abnormal as well. So maybe she has the ability to, I don't know, give birth as well, because she can create life. Because technically she put the lifespan into something. So maybe the whole giving birth to something is not really legit. Maybe it's a ability of a devil fruit. I'm not too sure. There's still so much we don't know about the Amara abilities. Only just the snippets here and there we've got the lifespan swap, but I don't know. I think that raises a little bit of questions of whether or not they're adopted or whether or not they legitimately give birth, or what. Because I don't see Big Mom giving birth, someone like that giving birth to 85, 86 times to you. But that's just my opinion. But again, it is Oda, it is One Piece. It could get crazy, and certain things we never seen, we could see happen in an instant. We've seen this before, so I don't know. I'm just gonna go on lines. I don't think Big Mom at this point it doesn't like she give birth as legit as we were made to believe. I think some of those daughters could have been adopted, and maybe Bonnie is one of them, given the fact that and I said this in the review, that her abilities are kind of nature-like based, given the fact she can alter somebody's age, including her own, which is a huge giveaway. Because unless they adopt the abilities from Big Mom, if she literally did give birth to him. But yeah, I'm just going on about the whole Charlotte family members. But for now, I'll leave it at that. But again, this could help tie into the whole thing about the Vinsmokes. I think they're going to be the wild card in this arc. I'm not too sure. I doubt. I'm not one of those that thinks that Luffy and Big Mom are going to be in a working alliance. But hey, they could. Who knows? It could happen. But it doesn't seem realistic at this point, especially if Jinbei gets fucked up in any way. Can you imagine how pissed off Luffy would be? Not only that, but potentially losing Sanji as well. We know how Luffy feels about his crew. He values his crew more. He values his dream of becoming king of the pirates. So that's another thing to take into consideration as well before thinking that Big Mom and Luffy could have been alliance. Now, one thing I want to add, and I did bring this question as well, and whether this fight happens or not, it probably will at some point. But if Luffy and Big Mom, let's say, for instance, they do duke it out by the end of this arc. If Luffy goes in Gear 4 and dodges Big Mom's lifespan ability or life swapping ability because he has a strong vitality, and from what we can understand or what we heard in the previous chapter, it only works on cowardly people, and Luffy is not cowardly. If Luffy went in Gear 4 and dodged that life swapping ability, could Luffy take out Big Mom? That's my biggest question, and if that was ever, if that fight ever happens, I guess we'll find the answer. But let me know what you guys think. That's going to do it for this discussion, I guess. Let me know what you guys think down below. What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think about Big Mom's insane amount of Charlotte family daughters and sons, and pretty much not giving a damn about her sons anyway, whether or not they're dead or alive? And what do you think is going to happen to Jinbei? Will he survive, or will he come? The next time we see him, will he come back losing an arm like Shanks? Who knows? But let me know what you think down below. That's going to do it for the discussion. Like it if you did, and give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Comment, rate, and subscribe as always, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.